Hello, everyone. I hope this message finds you well. Today, I want to talk about, we'll title this video, All Advice Isn't Wise. So, in other words, be careful who you listen to. Okay? So, I recently went through a spiritual awakening due to a very traumatic event that happened in my life. August the 1st, to be exact. Well, it was transitioning. It was early morning. But the spiritual awakening that I had was very traumatic in nature. I literally felt something break within me. And it was like, oh. So I had a spiritual awakening August 1st, 2020. And one of the things that has helped me gain enlightenment or help me transition smoothly was wise counsel. I had a good support team around me that helped me gain enlightenment. They had been through similar situations and they had came out on the other side understanding what was going on, or better, able to pass on that ancient wisdom that can only be acquired through like literally stepping right on the precipice of disaster. But recently I've seen another scenario which I feel like I need to talk about, and that's the scenario of following bad advice. I've seen a scenario in which someone has been, surrounded, seems like, by people that are very lower vibrational. These people only care about this 3D world. They only care about what's tangible in this made up world, this make believe world that we live in. Because again, I think if you haven't heard me talk about, or if maybe I can make a whole separate video about just the fact that the world that we live in is one that comes from our imagination. And when you think of it that way, we're really pressed about some imaginary money, some money that at the end of the day can't eat, it doesn't feed you for real. If everything goes to crap. One of the things in The Walking Dead, I don't know if anybody ever watches this, but The Walking Dead, one of the things that always interests me in The Walking Dead, or one of the things I always think about in The Walking Dead, is how nobody ever talks about money. Nobody ever says, hey, Rick, how much money you got? Because money is obsolete in that type of scenario, or in these type of scenarios where it's about survival. Money really doesn't matter because survival is primitive, it's primal. cardinal. Money isn't. But I've seen a lot of people, a lot of people have been investing a lot of faith in people that have acquired a lot of material gains. And I feel like it's important for people to understand that just because people have material gains does not mean that they are a wise counsel. Does not mean that they can tell you how to get that. It does not mean that they will tell you. There's a couple different scenarios for why people give bad advice. Now, number one, somebody could give bad advice because they just truly do not know. They can only speak from their own perspective, and that perspective is distorted. So in other words, if someone only lives in the desert, they can't tell you what it's like when it snows, right? So maybe you wouldn't go to that person and ask for skis, right? So it would be the same scenario for anybody that you're seeking advice from. You have to consider the source and you have to look at the person. If the person isn't in a happy relationship, then why would you take relationship advice from them? And not to say that maybe they don't have some words of wisdom that they could bestow upon you, but at the end of the day, we really have to look at the result, not the potential. We have to look at people's actions, not their words, because their actions come from their thoughts. Their thoughts, what they think in their head over and over again. This is what produces the actions in which they take. So it doesn't matter what one says if their actions are contrary. So the second part, right, or the second scenario for one to give bad advice would be purposefully. I mean, people hate when I bring up Donald Trump, but I mean, he's the perfect example. I can't help it. For instance, Trump. When the coronavirus first hit, it recently come out that he knew about it. He knew the severity of it, and he made a decision early on to downplay it, downplay it. As we can see, this whole year, or the whole last year, the whole year, he went from, telling people to, stop testing so much, to harassing the CDC for putting up new guidelines that kind of contradicted what he was trying to put out. But either way, he was giving bad advice because it was in his best interest to. He felt like it would be beneficial to him for the election and maybe even the pocketbook. But either way, it wasn't advice that was coming from a place of I'm trying to help you. It came from a place of I'm trying to help myself. So it might not even be, one trying to help themselves. It could just be that one is just jealous too. That's another scenario that we can run down. We have to understand that this world is a very methodical place. And just because we do not spend our nights and days meditating or ruminating on how to ruin people or how to get over on people does not mean that others do not. And whether it be subconsciously or consciously, there is a level of sabotage that some people have when they're jealous of you. And the worst thing you can do, in my opinion, is keep people that are jealous of you around you. Because at the end of the day, it really will be a conflict of interest for this person. At some point in time, it's going to be a conflict of interest. Their hate and their love for you is going to coincide. It's going to clash. We have to understand that there's a multifaceted world out here, that we are dealing with multifaceted beings, okay? And that we need to understand We need to be more emotionally intelligent. We need to be more emotionally articulate. And we also need to be able to interpret these emotions in others better. But I think that all comes from interpreting our own emotions better. But again, if everybody's acting too cool for school, like nobody has a heart out here, I think this is the problem. Nobody practices self awareness. Nobody practices mental strength. Nobody practices self discipline. It's actually quite pathetic because people think that being discipline driven, motivated, and determined is hard. Oh, that's too hard. But living foul is harder. Living unrighteously is worse. It wastes more time. It consumes more energy. So, again, be mindful of who you listen to, who you follow behind, who you take advice from. If it don't sound right in your soul, if it don't sit right in your spirit, please just ignore it. Because some people do not know. Some people don't want you to know. And some people are just not at that level of experience. They're neither here nor there. They're not trying to give you no bad advice, but the advice that they do got to give you is from their little bubble of which they've experienced, and that's not good enough. Please be mindful. Consider the source. Do not just follow people blindly. Look up things for yourself. Research, do your own research. Research things for yourself before you start talking about things that you didn't research, but you relaying to other people things that you didn't research on your own. You didn't go look up and see if it was true, but because you trust this person, you automatically think that this is fact. It just doesn't work like that. You have to do your own diligence, because what if this person made a mistake, or what if the person that they heard it from made a mistake? And I digress. Bottom line is consider the source. Consider the relationship. Please don't let people that don't like you tell you things that try to give you advice, because I don't how does that work? And that's that's the number one thing. Do not keep people around you that have shown you that they don't like you or that they are jealous of you, because it's just not going to work. It's not going to work. They need to heal that. They need to get right with that. If they can't, then they cannot be a present in your life, because if not, it's going to constantly be a battle with this person or a competition, and it will eventually spiral out of control. I encourage you all to just not be, swayed, so easily swayed by people's opinions, by people's words, because just like I tell, that you can't, everybody here is on a different level. So, people can give you advice, but it's up to you to be able to be discerning. It's up to you to learn the lessons for yourself. So that you can be a better person. It's no guidebook on a good life, on how to live a good life. You just have to put one foot in front of the other and actually live right, and practice your discernment. It really does seem like it's hard sometimes, but I think that living wrong is harder. I encourage you all to use your brains. Don't be a follower, be a leader. And it sounds so cliche, but it's the truth. We got a lot of the walking dead walking around here just mindless, aimlessly. They don't have no purpose. They don't have no vision. And it's a shame. That's all I got. Until next time, take care, y'all.